We really want to welcome you tonight to our How to Help Your Child Succeed in the Common Core. Tonight's point is really not to discuss the politics. I know anytime we make changes in New York State, it becomes political. I understand concern and I respect it. I honestly do. However, tonight what we really want to talk to you about is what the Common Core is, what you can do to help your child succeed in this new curriculum. You know, I always say this. Does anybody remember the new math? Remember that? Yeah, I remember it too, because I remember my father and mother, who were not, undereducated people by any stretch of the imagination, trying to help me with my math homework when I brought home the new math. You guys remember that? And your parents all said, I don't know how to do this. And, we're seeing it again. We're seeing it again with the Common Core math now, because it's new, and people haven't learned yet how to help their children, just like with the new math. Way back when, what was that like? I'm going to try to date myself for a moment. Was that in the 70s? Yeah, right? I think that was in the 70s when they came out with the new math. I remember everybody saying, we don't understand this because you don't need to get the right answer. Remember that? And everybody was frustrated with the new math. And I guess, things always work in a full circle. Because guess what I'm hearing now with the Common Core math? You don't have to get the right answer? You do, but there's still people out there saying that. Now, what happened was that, and this is just a brief history. What happened was that I would say about 10 years ago, the governors of the states got a lot of pressure from 3 different groups because they weren't happy with the products coming out of public education. The 3 groups were the business community, the college community, and the military. All 3 groups were very dissatisfied with the level of education children were leaving. It was nobody's fault. It's just a different system. So they wanted a more rigorous system because they were facing some very different challenges in the world than the educational system was addressing. That's really what it came down to. And they began to really put the pressure on the governors in their states. And then the governors got together and they created this group that created this curriculum we call the Common Core. Got it? And that Common Core was supposed to be a response to what the military and the business community and the college community were saying were lacking in our education system. It wasn't that teachers were doing a bad job, because they were not. Our teachers do a phenomenal job. And it wasn't that our administrators were doing a bad job, because they do a phenomenal job. That's not the point. The point was that the system itself didn't match the reality that the military and the business community and the college community were seeing now. That's the reason why the change came. So what happened basically is that the federal government hooked onto it, put a lot of money into it, let's face it, that's what happened. And then we got what we got now in our discussion. So that's the briefest history. You ever see that 2 hours of the world history thing on Channel 13? I just gave it to you in 2 minutes. So but basically that's the nutshell description of why we have the Common Core. And just to give you a personal example, my son is in the Army, and he's doing tanks. I don't know if you've ever seen a modern tank, but you always see the World War II tanks, on TV and everything. Modern tank, when you're in a tank, it's like you're on the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. Literally. His helmet turns the turret. He turns his head, the turret turns. That's how he aims. What I'm trying to tell you is from a military standpoint, the level of technology has become so sophisticated that they no longer can take children right out of high school that aren't deeply prepared in science and math. In the old days, the military was like, you can't do anything, we'll send you to the Army. They'll straighten you out. Remember that? How many times did you hear that? Get in the military, they'll straighten you out. They don't take anybody anymore. You take those ASVABs, those exams and things like that, they're tough now. Like when I took them as a kid, I took them. When I was in high school, like most of the other guys, they weren't really that hard. Now, they are hugely difficult. And 70% of the children that take those exams, guess what now? Fail them. 70% of the kids fail them. Why do they fail them? Because the math and the science on those exams now are off the charts. Because even a private has to have the ability to do math and science in order to use the equipment that we're giving them, because it's so high-tech now. That's just to give you an example of what we're facing. I know, Dr. Swanger, you want to talk a little bit about the fact that the number of kids that you're getting that need to take remedial courses? All right.
He always does this to me.
I know. And he pays me back.
Yeah. I meet with the district superintendents once a semester. We talk about what's going on in education and what's happening at the college, what's happening in the school districts. And one of the things that we've talked about is the preparation of students for college level work. Our statistics, which mirror national statistics, 70%, right around 70%, 70 to 72% of the students who arrive on our campus have to take at least one remedial course. They're not ready for college work. It's often math. We instill fear of math at a very early age, and they're not ready. Somewhere between 40 and 45% of the students who arrive on campus, again, this is our campus and nationally, have to take at least 2 remedial courses, math and English. They're not prepared for college level work. So I keep talking to the school districts and saying, I want you to put me out of the remedial business. I would prefer not to offer these courses. Now, in reality, we're going to offer them at some level all the time, but I'm offering more than I should have to. I have opinions. I don't know that you want me to share them, but I have opinions. But I think what I've seen in the Common Core, and I'm by no means an expert in the Common Core, this is an effort to raise the bar so that when students get to a college campus or get to work in a high-tech industry, they are ready. And that's what we need to do. We need to have them ready. The other thing that we do, I meet with businesses on a regular basis. We started, you might have heard of it, the CEO Roundtable, where we get together and talk about the future of this region and the economy and how we're trying to generate more jobs and attract more people to our area and grow this region. And I think we've got tremendous potential. There's a lot going on in our economy. I know it's a little slower at the moment, but you've got Global Foundries in Malta that has invested billions of dollars into that plant. And now you've got over at SUNY IT, outside of Utica, they're building another nanotech plant. I think the ticket on that is $9 billion. And we're right in the middle of that. We're right in the middle of those two pieces of development. Those industries will attract other high-tech industries. And our students, your children, have to be ready to work in those industries. And that's, again, another reason that we're looking at the Common Core.
My wife, who's in the audience somewhere, happens to be a special education teacher and will be here tomorrow too. So believe me when I tell you, your question, I live. She comes home and tells me, how are we supposed to do this? And my answer is that we'll all get through it together. But the issue is that whether we like it or not, these changes have to occur in the long run. And I know it's hard. I do. I respect that. Steve Tomlinson has a second grader as well and told a very similar story that you did when we were sitting together as superintendents. And, we're all sitting there going, wow, really? However, the really is really. And when people say to me something like, Pat, what is this developmentally appropriate? I teasingly say, my wife tells me I'm developmentally inappropriate all the time. However, I understand the question, and it's a fair question. My response to that is that there is one state in the United States that's been doing this for a long time. You guys know which one that is? Massachusetts. Massachusetts has been doing this curriculum for the last 10 years. And I don't think the children in New York State are less smart than the children in Massachusetts, who have been doing it for the last 10 years. Now, I will have to say this. When Massachusetts put this curriculum in place, there was 4 years of There was. Absolutely. They had a tough 4 years putting it into place. They really did. Now, they're on the top of the charts in everything in Massachusetts, and all the testing, everything. They're on the top of the charts. And businesses are going to Massachusetts because they have such a well-educated workforce. And you know what they call Massachusetts? You know the old nickname of Massachusetts? Taxachusetts. They have the same issue with property taxes and income taxes and everything else we have here, and businesses are lining up to go to Massachusetts because the children are coming out of the schools educated enough where the industries can just take them in and move forward. What happened with the kids in Massachusetts that when they went through this change cycle, with the testing? They adjusted the scores just like we're doing. So they did do that. They did do a lot of things. They also made a lot of mistakes. Hopefully a lot of mistakes that we've learned from, because I know we watch that closely. Listen, the testing thing has got to evolve over time, and there's an issue there. I'm telling you right now there's an issue there.
It doesn't eliminate your child's frustration and tears.
Right.
And the mounds of homework that they deal with every night.
And that's a discussion you've got to have with your teacher, and you've got to have with your principal.
But it's across the board.
Right, I understand.
Every single teacher.
Right. No, I absolutely understand. But like the discussion I've had with a lot of administrators is that, and I say this again and again and again, there's a thing called modules. You ever hear of those? That's a thing that the teachers are using to help them teach, which is a good thing. But the modules are not supposed to be implemented like they're a religion. They're supposed to be implemented using the educator's judgment. And so one of the things that we have to work out, and this is because our teachers want to do a really good job, and that's sincerely what I think, they want to do a really good job with this, and they need to think about how to calibrate what they're doing too. Because this is relatively new to them. This is only the second year really they're dealing with this. So your feedback to your teachers is extremely important, because they're not going to know how to calibrate things and how to deal with things if they don't hear from you. So that's also just important to know as you go.
The modules are just a resource for teachers, and so many of your teachers, we've trained hundreds and hundreds of teachers, and they are still getting used to using modules, but not everyone's even using them. There's teachers here who aren't using them at all, but they are not meant to be followed word for word. They're meant as a resource for teachers. So as they get used to it, they'll be able to adjust things to help meet students' needs a little bit more. And it is something that's new. A lot of us, probably a lot of you in here, were familiar with Saxon Math before. That was, something, and now this is night and day from Saxon Math, and we get that. So it's an adjustment all the way around, and they are meant to be used as a resource, and teachers implement them to help meet the needs of their students the best that they can. So I think you will see things that we've had a couple of sessions where we've had teachers come in to talk about their experiences with the modules, and they're like, oh, it's getting better now that things are rolling. So as we adjust through this, I think you'll see changes.
Common Core is not a curriculum. It's a set of standards. There's a difference. I'm just going to give you a brief example. I'm going to date myself again. I was there when they changed from Afro-Asian, remember that, guys? Remember Afro-Asian in social studies? To global studies. Remember that? You're shaking your head, yeah? I remember that. You know what my training in the curriculum was? I got this book in the mail. It was in a white envelope. I still remember it. I got this book in the mail the June before I was supposed to teach global studies in the September. The book was about this thick. It had all the different global studies standards in it. It had a beautiful letter on the top of it from the Commissioner of Education congratulating me being on a new social studies teacher. You might remember this. And I didn't get any training. I got a letter I didn't get a module, didn't get anything. I got a letter on top of this little manual, about yay thick, with all the different changes, saying, implemented in September and have a nice day. That was the extent. Ron, you're laughing because you remember that. And the fact is that was the extent of my curriculum training when we switched from Afro-Asian to global studies. So the issue here is that, and teachers, and this is the thing that I'm very proud of our teachers for, is that they're working very hard to implement these new standards, or they're trying different ways. Without you giving them feedback, without you giving your administrators feedback, they're not going to be able to modify to help your children. So keep doing that. That's a really good thing to do.
The one takeaway I got from this out of anything else is that teachers, in their enthusiasm to do this right, may be overdoing it just a touch. So I think that they need to step it down a little bit, and that's a discussion we'll have tomorrow with my superintendents, is I think they need to step it down a bit, and they need to start being a little bit more discerning about the homework and everything else. But I think in general, you know, people are frustrated, but any change is going to cause frustration. I mean, I was here when they went to the all regions, and they were equally as upset as they are now. You know, I was here when they went to all the different changes. It'll be fine. People just have to get used to it. It's going to just take time. I think it'll take time for the teachers to get used to it, and it's going to take time for the parents to get used to it. And in the meantime, we have to give them all the support we can. Communicate with your teachers. Get on the Engage New York website. The Engage New York website has to be more user-friendly, something that I think we have to really look at for a parent. They have to be able to get on there and get right to where their concern is. What we're going to do here at BOCES is we've basically created a button list for parents that we're going to publish starting tomorrow, where they can go right to the you know, explanation of the math. You can go right to the explanation of the grade levels and all those things, so they don't have to search the site. I don't see the state backing off on the Common Core anytime soon, but so what we have to do is we have to work together to make it work.